And now, it's Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
Vancouver Whitecaps shock everyone and decide to pass when it is their turn to select a player in the Chivas USA dispersal draft. I'm kidding. The Caps did announce that they will officially be part of USL Pro in 2015 with their team called Whitecaps FC 2. They went very original with that one. They'll be playing out at UBC. Meanwhile, in the Premier League, Arsenal struggle, and Lionel Messi sets a record. Good evening and welcome. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk. It is right here on CL 650 Radio in Vancouver. We are broadcasting in Richmond in the Barber & Co. studios. My name is Tyler Green. Thank you for joining us. On Twitter, you can find me at Tyler Green FC. The program is also available online at CIL650.com. That is CISL650.com. Thank you for listening to the program, whether that is live or on the podcast. The first half kickoff is brought to you by KO Kevin O'Toole and findaproperty.ca. Kevin has a new place that he's selling. Some absolutely stunning views. And you can find some of those pictures at findaproperty.ca. That's Kevin O'Toole, licensed realtor with Prudential Sussex Realty, online at findaproperty.ca. Now, the Vancouver Whitecaps, they unveiled their USL Pro franchise on Friday. It didn't surprise many. It's something that has been planned for a long time. Bob Blenarduzzi has talked about it. We've discussed it on the program. I've written about it on my blog at tylergreen.org. Everyone knew that a USL Pro franchise was coming. It didn't happen in New Westminster. A new location was required. Eventually, that location was unveiled to be at the University of British Columbia. They will be playing out of Thunderbird Stadium. May have surprised a bunch of people. I think wanting and the need to be in USL Pro in 2015 really necessitated this. And the Whitecaps obviously going to be playing at UBC. And it makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways. Some ways, not so much. The franchise, though, will provide a link from the residency program to a lot of the youngsters that sort of graduate from that program at the age of 18. Where do they go? Are they good enough to play in the Major League Soccer level? Or do they need a couple of those years to really develop in a pro environment? So that's what it's going to provide. It also benefits some of those players that the Whitecaps draft in the MLS draft, and they sign them, but they aren't quite ready for Major League Soccer. Example is a guy like Marco Carducci, who probably could have been the number 2 guy with the Whitecaps last year because Paolo Tornaghi didn't play, so why would Marco Carducci? But it's going to greatly benefit a guy like him because he is literally going to be the starting goalkeeper for that squad in 2015. He will get an entire year under his belt. And then in 2016, he will probably be that number 2 guy for the Whitecaps. Maybe even the number 1 guy if something were to happen to David Osted. So those are the benefits that the USL Pro team will supply. But there are some concerns about this squad. And some are even asking whether Vancouver will actually bring players through that system. Will they bring players from their residency program, move them through that, and then graduate them to the MLS level? A lot of people thinking that the Whitecaps will just bypass that and put in a bunch of veterans and guys that are just maybe on the cusp of Major League Soccer and give them a lot of time to play. Simon and I will discuss that on the program. Another issue that people have been talking about is the location and whether or not it is fan friendly, and whether general fans can even make it to those games. And that brings us to our very broad Barber poll tonight. It is presented by Barber & Co. at barberandco.ca. What is your biggest concern and your biggest excitement about the USL Pro side, Whitecaps FC2? You can tweet us your thoughts with the hashtag BarberPoll. You can find us on Twitter at SoccerTalk650, Tyler Green FC, Simon Fudge 74. And you can also always make a comment on our Facebook page as well. It is facebook.com/SoccerTalkVan. Like the page as well while you're there. The Barber Poll is brought to you by Barber & Co., Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie and 18th. And on the corner of Main and 12th, you can find them on Twitter at Barber & Co. or visit barberandco.ca. That's barberandco.ca. Still close to home, but kind of a little bit away, is Alan Marcina. He is the head coach of the San Antonio Scorpions, who won the NASL Championship last week. Alan is from Surrey. And could he be interested in the coaching job that is currently available for Whitecaps FC2? We're going to ask him about it. He's coming up on the program in about 45 minutes time from now. Rob Gale, the head coach of the Canadian U20 squad, will chat about their recent results as the team prepares for the CONCACAF Championships, which begin in January. They were over in Europe. Very good result as they drew England and then went on to beat both Russia and the United States over there. Must be giving and providing those players with a lot of confidence. Some of those players, Whitecaps players anyway, still in Europe, training with the likes of Rangers in Scotland and Derby County. Talk about that a little bit later on in the program. Speaking of Europe, Lionel Messi in the news again. Is he happy? Could he leave? He just set a goal-scoring record over there. That's one of the topics that we'll get into in just a matter of moments in the starting 11. Chelsea continue to be solid. Southampton, right up there, but how long can they last? Meanwhile, Arsenal slip, and there is once again talk about Arsene Wenger and whether or not he should remain as the head coach and manager of Arsenal. Should the Gunners gun him out of there? Again, some of the topics in the starting 11 in just a couple minutes' time. You're listening to Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CL 650 Radio in Vancouver. Get into Kia Vancouver right now. Free lifetime oil changes, car washes, and get this, free lifetime airport, shuttle, and parking service. It is only at BC's #1 Kia dealership, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. All right, up next, my co-host and Goal.com writer Simon Fudge and I will debate the starting 11 when we return.
Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTalk650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CL 650.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Prudential Sussex Realty, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
at findaproperty.ca.
Not that your stylist at the salon isn't doing a good job, but man, you deserve the big red leather barber chair experience of Barber & Co. Here's how it works. Go to barberandco.ca. Book your appointment at one of the 5 barber shops in Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie at 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. You can just walk in, too, and get your hair cut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, or beard trim experience. A great wedding party idea, too. barberandco.ca.
Pain or injury slowing you down? Take it to the choice of many top athletes, Expert Physio. Serving the Lower Mainland for over 35 years, the team at Expert Physio is dedicated to individualized care with specialized services such as orthotics, acupuncture, IMS, plus dizziness, pelvic floor, and certified hand therapies. Over 300 physicians referred to Expert Physio last year, and 100% of patients surveyed said they choose Expert Physio again. You're in good hands with Expert Physio. Burnaby Heights or at 8 Rinks, expertphysio.ca.
What's new today? Find out. Visit Inspiration Furniture today, where there is always something new. With 3 floors of selection, a helpful design service, great stock for immediate delivery, and always something new. You have many good reasons to stop in today. Shop away. Online at inspirationfurniture.ca or in store at 1275 West 6th Avenue in Vancouver. You can also tag along on Facebook and Twitter. Come see what's new today and be inspired today at Inspiration Furniture.
One word makes all the difference. Trust. You can't earn it overnight. You can't put a price tag on it. Trust must be earned. Over the last 30 years, BC Furnace has built their reputation on trust. Tens of thousands of customers now recommend BC Furnace by name for installation, maintenance, and repairs, in large part to one thing: trust. BC Furnace, keeping Lower Mainland homes warm and comfortable for over 30 years.
BCFurnace.com, BC's #1 choice.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on Sea Isle 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
Yeah, starting 11 time. You can tweet us your thoughts on anything involved in the starting 11. My name's Tyler Green on Twitter at Tyler Green FC. My co-host and Goal.com writer Simon Fudge is at Simon Fudge 74. Or you can tweet the show at Soccer Talk 650. And we start with number 1 on the starting 11. Another disappointment for Arsenal against Manchester United from earlier on Saturday morning. Should Gunners get rid of Arsene Wenger?
I think it might be time. Arsenal look out of the title race now by that defeat today, and are in a battle now to try and just get a Champions League spot next season. And it's getting towards a point where this club, I think, needs a fresh start, and with it, effectively a fresh face in North London.
It's a difficult question because I think in the boardroom, he's great. He keeps costs down. He can sell players at a higher level. They're very much usually in a Europe spot, mostly Champions League over the last number of years. So they are a money-making team, and they do very well. Fan-wise, they want to win championships, but it just doesn't seem like they are capable of winning championships, and they don't seem like they are going out and getting some of those players that will make them a championship team again. And so it's a tough question. I think if you're a fan, yeah, he's got to be out because you need somebody in there that's going to drive it forward and take it to that next level. But I don't think management or ownership or the board, what have you, is that interested. And I think somebody coming in might be able to get a little bit more out of the players, but I don't think anything's going to change in terms of being able to spend more money, being able to bring in higher quality players, because those players are going to be expensive. So I think you're just going to end up with the same thing. And so at this point, I don't necessarily think that there's a reason to get rid of the Frenchman.
Number 2, how long can Southampton hold strong near the top of the English Premier League?
I think they can for a little while, but I think eventually they'll fade a little bit. I think they probably have until the new year, and then once those transfer windows open and some of those teams, some of the big teams again, start to bulk up and get that 1 or 2 players that's going to push them up to the top, they'll drop out. I'd say they'll be able to keep strong for another month or 2.
I agree. I think they'll stay up there for a little while longer, but not for the rest of the season. I think other teams will, as you say, come into form and just effectively reel them in. I'm sort of waiting to see what 1 or 2 teams get themselves into a very good streak of results, particularly once we get past the end of the 2014 part of the season and get into the new year. The holiday fixture period, I think, will be a very good measuring stick as to determining where the Saints are going to be very much where they are, or they find themselves on the outside looking in.
Number 3 on the starting 11. Which teams have surprised you most in the Premier League so far this season?
Well, I mean, you can look at it two ways. I mean, the way Spurs have played and how disappointing they've been to this point. But taking a positive note, decided to go with Newcastle United particularly. Just been very impressed with their turnaround. I mean, once again, Alan Piardu, not for the first time, under huge fire when they started the season. Started so poorly. But what a turnaround. And now they're creeping up towards the top 3 or 4. Good win again today against QPR. And, for them to be sitting 5th in the table where they are from the start that they had, real surprise.
A couple surprises for me. One bad is Queen's Park Rangers. I didn't think they would be this bad. I thought they would be a little bit better, but obviously struggling right now. And then 2 teams in the middle that you mentioned. One of them is Tottenham. I thought, they'd be a little bit closer, a little bit tighter to the top. Liverpool as well, struggling. It just shows you how much a guy like Suarez meant to that squad. They just haven't been able to replicate it. Newcastle, a big story, but West Ham United, surprise for me because nobody really thought that they would be able to do kind of what they're doing currently. But a little bit of a surprise for me, and it'll be interesting to see if them and Newcastle can stick where they are.
Number 4, Lionel Messi recently told Argentinian newspaper Olé, quote, "I live in the present. All I am thinking about is making this a great year and winning titles, and that's it. After that, we'll see. Football is full of unexpected twists and turns. It is true that I said I would like to stay at Barcelona forever, but sometimes not everything turns out the way you want," unquote. Does he stay or go from Camp Nou?
You know what? I think he's going to stay. I think this is maybe just a little bit of talk from him, just maybe posturing a little bit, wanting the team to, give him a little pat, say, hey, we like what you're doing here. We still want you to be a part of this club. And, sometimes I think you need the ego stroked a little bit, and I think maybe that's where he's coming from ever so slightly. At the same time, really, he's kind of accomplished everything that there almost is to he pretty much has accomplished everything that there is to accomplish at Barcelona, and maybe there's a little bit of him that wants to try somewhere new, wants to try something a little bit different and see if he can excel somewhere else. So, I think there's that possibility, but I think in the end he will stay.
Getting a feeling that he's going to move on, and I think sometime in the summer, and it's to the point you've made, particularly after having claimed the all-time Premier League scoring title today, and he now will sit at the top of that list probably for many a year. He doesn't have much left to achieve with the Blaugrana, and it's one of these situations where, from a journalistic point of view, if we keep getting reports over his future, there's no smoke without fire. And I think certainly by the summer, I think there's a chance that he could move on because he has done everything that he could do at Barcelona. And there really isn't much more that he needs to do other than to try and win the same titles and take the same honors. So got a feeling in the summer something's going to happen.
Right now, Kia Vancouver offering free oil changes, car washes, airport parking, and shuttle service. It is only at BC's #1 Kia dealership. That's Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. Simon has all the MLS scores in just a minute. In about a half hour from now, we're going to chat with San Antonio Scorpions head coach Alan Marcina. His team, the Scorpions, just won the NASL championship. They did that last Saturday. And would he be interested in the Whitecaps FC 2 job as the head coach of that USL Pro team? We'll find out from him at about in about 30 minutes from now. Also, Rob Gale, head coach of the Canadian U20 men's squad, at 11:30 this evening. We'll continue the starting 11 now in just a moment. So a quick time out here on the program, and when we return, we switch gears and go MLS. Did David Osted get robbed of at least being a finalist for the goalkeeper of the year? And a lot of USL Pro questions coming up in the starting 11 next.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on Sea Isle 650.
Nearly 70 years ago, Charlie Wolford first started fixing loggers' boots. He did such a good job, loggers said if he'd make boots from scratch, they'd buy them and tell their buddies. Charlie named his brand Dayton, and ever since, Dayton Boots has put the same craftsmanship and love in every pair built right here in Vancouver. Times change, but the quality in every handcrafted pair of Dayton boots never has. Mention Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk and take 10% off Dayton Boots, 2250 East Hastings. Dayton, wear a legend that lasts.
Talk about beautiful goalkeeping. During Winterfest, Kia Vancouver is stopping all payments on new 2015 Kia models till next year and stopping winter with a holiday bonus of up to $1,000 towards a 2015 winter-ready model with loads of heated features and rugged winter tires. Hurry in for all the Winterfest saves at Kia Vancouver, where you get free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon and KiaVancouver.com.
The family story begins generations ago on Via Tevere, a street in the heart of Naples, where food was the celebration of life. Today, in East Van, Via Tevere Pizzeria Napoletana honors their family heritage with La Vera Pizza Napoletana, pizza that showcases authentic Neapolitan ingredients and the time-honored tradition of wood-fired cooking. Come experience La Vera Pizza Napoletana, true Neapolitan pizza at Via Tevere Pizzeria, 1190 Victoria Drive, and look for the Via Tevere Neapolitan Express food cart around town.
Whether playing soccer on this continent or football on every other, Umbro is the name worn by top players and teams worldwide. Those same uniforms are available for your team or club at Umbro.com. Umbro, proud to be the official supplier of Canada's men's and women's national teams, is celebrating 90 years of expertise in the game. If you want your club to play like the pros, dress them like the pros at Umbro.com. Umbro, the heart and soul of football.
This is the sound of safety.
911 call center.
Hi, yeah, I want to report an impaired driver. There's a car swerving all over the road. I'm on Highway 8.
The police want citizens to call 911 to report impaired drivers, because keeping them off the road is everyone's responsibility. If you suspect an impaired driver, pull over, call 911, and save someone's life.
Change for the better.
Mad Canada, helping the victim, stopping the crime.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on Sea Isle 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
MLS playoffs, they continue. They get back into it on Sunday. And Simon has the schedule for you on that one, brought to you by Dayton Boots, DaytonBoots.com.
Yes, the Eastern Conference Final first leg will be the first game to start. New York Red Bulls hosting New England Revolution, followed by the Western Conference Final first leg, LA Galaxy against Seattle Sounders. The second legs will then go next weekend in both of those semis.
That was the Major League Soccer scoreboard, brought to you by Dayton Boots. Mention Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk and take 10% off quality, handcrafted right here in BC. Dayton Boots, 2250 East Hastings. Dayton Boots, where the legend that lasts. Online at DaytonBoots.com. Still to come on the program, we'll speak with David Sandals of Expert Physio to talk injuries. And there's some interesting ones out there. Philip Lahm, fractured ankle, out 3 months. Daniel Sturridge, another thigh injury. He's only played 3 games so far for Liverpool this season. We'll talk to David about whether a player can be injury prone or not. And Leandro Castan, some sad news, really, that he's got to undergo some brain surgery for it's called cavernoma. So we'll ask David about that. But very unfortunate news there from Italy. And then there's a new set of ACL repair that's going to go into human testing next year. It's good news because a lot of people get injured with a lot of ACL injuries. So we'll talk to David Sandals about that coming up at 11 o'clock in the Expert Physio Injury Report. But right now we'll continue with the starting 11, and we're switching gears and going a lot of Major League Soccer and a lot of USL Pro. And we continue now with number 5. And was the Major League Soccer dispersal draft a colossal waste of time, Simon?
It was. I struggle to understand all the secrecy that there was with this whole process before the picks were revealed by MLS. I certainly hope the Sporting Kansas City play-by-play man Callum Williams is all right based on the Twitter.
Well, he favorited a tweet of mine the other day, so I think he's okay.
Okay, because that was possibly one of the funniest things I actually saw on Twitter that day. It was so many of the tweets when he went MIA, as one would say. But I think in a lot of ways, based on the fact that, was it 7 players that got taken, would it have just been more sensible to just put all of the players that were on that Chivas USA squad into the re-entry draft next month, and then they would have been, selected by the teams? But then that would have almost been more practical, I would have thought, because there seemed to be a certain amount of fuss and secrecy and formality with this, all for the fact that the best players that we all knew were in the team were ended up taken, and for the most part, teams like Vancouver all took a pass on the thing.
Yeah, I don't think it was a huge waste of time, because you look at the re-entry draft, and a lot of teams pass on the re-entry draft as well. So it's not like any of these mechanisms are going to be huge to try to build your squad. I think there were numerous problems with the way that people looked at this. One, there's a bunch of guys that are sort of probably on the fringes of making your squad, so why are you going to pick a guy just to have him on the roster, other than you just saw him? If you're going to, and Carl Robinson said this last week, if you're going to try to improve your squad, you're not going to pick a guy that's just going to be on the fringes of your roster. You're going to pick a guy that is going to be able to make an impact and challenge for a starting position. That's how you make your team better. So as much as that is the case with a lot of these guys, I don't think it's necessarily a waste of time, because different people will look at it different ways and might want to pick a certain player. Some of those guys that were even had some serious injuries got picked because there's that potential of these guys. Some of the other guys have terrible contracts, and you don't want to be faced with the challenge of trying to bring that into your roster and having that huge contract onto your team. So I don't think it was a huge waste of time. I think it met a purpose with teams getting an opportunity to pick some good players, and they took those players, and now the rest of the players are going to be in the re-entry draft. And again, that's another mechanism that people are, I think a lot of teams are going to pass on. What is it, 3 different phases that you can go to? Or
It used to be in 2, but
yeah. But there's a bunch of phases, and teams are going to pass on that as well, because people don't necessarily want to be stuck with a contract that has already been in place. They want to create their own contract, and so I don't think it was a huge waste of time. It's just unfortunate because there's a lot of bad players on Chivas.
Yeah, well, and the fact there were only 7 guys went pretty much underlined that probably for the most part. Number 6, should David Osted have been a Goalkeeper of the Year finalist?
I think he probably got a little bit robbed on this one. As many clean sheets as he did, the fact that he's in the top 5 of save percentage, maybe wins, he could have been a little bit higher. I think he might have gotten lumped in with the whole team defense aspect of the Vancouver Whitecaps. But, for me, I think that he probably could have been included in this. It just seems like it's the same guys year after year, and they don't necessarily, have to necessarily make a lot of saves or what have you. And I think he probably should have been included in the final 3.
Yeah, I was stunned myself that he didn't make the short list, and it wasn't so much because statistically he amassed 13 shutouts, which were the league best in the regular season this year. For me, the huge role that he played in actually getting the Whitecaps to make the playoffs through the team's ability to be so resilient defensively and not concede goals was a major factor, and especially when the team was not scoring, they were able to get over the line because they didn't give up any goals, and that really for me was the big story here. So the fact that he had that kind of impact for me on the way the team's season ended should have been one of the biggest merits as to why he should have been included in the last three. The three that were picked, I think Steve Clark of Columbus and Nick Raimondo of RSL were two of them. Very good goalkeepers, had steady years. But I just got a sense that those that chose that short list probably didn't watch enough Vancouver games this season and didn't see what Osted had done himself and what he did as part of that back line and that defensive setup that helped Vancouver make the postseason this year.
Right now, Kia Vancouver offering free oil changes, car washes, airport parking, and shuttle service. It's only at BC's #1 Kia dealership, Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. Had a problem with one of my door handles. Took it in, checked it out. No problems. They fixed it up. Perfect service. Drive you anywhere you need to go. Great service from Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive, KiaVancouver.com. Somebody else that got snubbed is one of the MVP finalists. And should Bradley Wright Phillips been included as an MVP finalist?
I believe he should have been, yes. Not many in MLS have scored the number of goals in a single season like he has. He scored 27 in the regular season. He had another 3 that he scored in the postseason. He's already up to 30 for the year. You're not going to have a lot of players do that year in, year out, and few have. And I think as well, if Wright Phillips plays his part in getting the Red Bulls to the MLS Cup and they win it, the claims for him to be on that MVP shortlist would be even stronger, and I think rightly so in many respects, because he's played a big part in giving them, well, certainly making sure that they got into the playoffs, but probably being one of the more informed sides so far in the postseason. So I think it is a bit disappointing that he's been left out.
Yeah, I just, it's simply look at the goal total that he had. Like you said, 27, and how do you keep a guy like that off the list to be your leading goal scorer in the league, to have that many goals in the league and you don't even get a shout at it is shocking to me. So I completely agree with you and echo quite a bit of your thoughts that he should be one of the MVP finalists. And, I think Lee Wynn did a lot of great things with New England. It's almost like they looked at it and said, oh, well, we have to have somebody from LA and Seattle because they're the two top teams in Major League Soccer. So we have to pick somebody there. And then we need to put somebody in the East, and Lee Wynn's been doing great. So he's a U.S. men's national team guy, and I think that plays into it as well.
That would have to be the case if you're picking someone like Obafemi Martins, who, I'm sorry, I don't think has been consistent enough this season to merit such an honor. I don't think he's shown enough. There have been some games, particularly against Vancouver, where he was not at the races. So, not really sure why they would select him.
I look at Seattle, and to me, that is the epitome of a team playing well together, and not just a single player that has gotten you winning that Supporters Shield.
Number 8, Whitecaps FC announced Whitecaps FC 2, their USL Pro franchise, on Friday to play out of UBC's Thunderbird Stadium. Do you like the location choice?
Well, I think, to be honest, it's the location choice that they can get into Major League or into USL Pro's 2015 season right now. And we talked about it earlier that they want in, play out of UBC, get in, and worry about the other things later. And I think that's what they're going to end up doing, really, is they're going to just need that more time to figure out a Surrey, to figure out a Coquitlam, or to figure out somewhere else, whether that's, Burnaby or Richmond or what have you. but they needed to get into that league starting in 2015, and UBC was the best choice. But you look at the drawbacks. It's going to be a lot of people that you can get from UBC and school-based students, and you might have a good opportunity there. People that live on that west side of Vancouver in the UBC, the Point Grey, in the Dunbar area, close to UBC, but it is a trek to get out there. I live in Burnaby, over by Burnaby Mountain, and it is a trek to get there. It is not an easy thing to do, and I'll be going because I'll be covering it as a member of the media, but as a fan in the area that I live in, and I'm in Burnaby, and there's a lot of places that are even out that much further, I don't know if you're necessarily going to want to make that drive and to get that far. So, location choice, I think, was a necessity. It's not the most ideal place to play.
No, I have to concur. For me, it's all right, but ideally, somewhere more central and in a more populated area in the Lower Mainland is going to be the thing that ultimately I think this team needs to have and will be that much more beneficial. The stadium itself, I've always enjoyed going to Thunderbird Stadium. It's got a really nice setting, sort of a natural amphitheater to it. But its location is so remote, and it's in such a westerly location that, as you say, even from where I live, sort of in Vancouver myself, it's still a bit of a trek myself to get out there. It's so far out west that people will ultimately maybe not will forego being sitting on the fence maybe for 2 or 3 games a season and not go because they do have to travel that far out, especially if the weather isn't good. So, I think that's one of the letdowns a little bit. I think it would be a different story a little bit if they were back at Swangard. And it's more because I think of where Swangard is based and the relative access you can get to from where it is just on the border there with Vancouver. It's a tough one. They had to get into the league. I was not surprised that this is where they ended up choosing to go. But at the end of the day, I don't see them being there forever.
And it is part of our Barber poll today, brought to you by Barber & Co., barberandco.ca. What is your biggest concern and the most exciting part about a USL Pro side in Whitecaps FC2? Let us know at Soccer Talk 650, at Tyler Green FC, at Simon Fudge 74. And number 9 on the starting 11 continues the Whitecaps FC2 theme. Simon, what names do you predict will be seen playing for Whitecaps FC2 in 2015?
Well, the youngsters for sure, like Savata Kubi, Bustos, Carducci, Froze. I also think we'll see Christian Dean, was a draft pick, any of the upcoming super draft picks as well, I would say, and as well as an Ethan Sampson, and if he's still here, Paulo Tornaghi. I think those will be the players. Anyone that was really effectively on the fringes of the first team this season, or we know full well need professional game time, and they're not going to get it with the MLS first team. Those are going to be the players you're going to see.
It's funny, I was actually kind of looking at it, and I was actually filling out my roster. I was filling out my starting 11, and I was looking at guys like, okay, well, there's a Marco Carducci in goal, and I think he's going to literally, they will try to start him in every WFC2 game next year. But I look at guys like Mitch Perreault, who's probably very happy that Omar Salgado's gone, but Jackson Farmer, another guy, Bustos, Keans Froze, Atakubi, Sampson. I look at Jordan Haynes as another guy. I think Christian Dean will be on that back line. And then I even look at some of the guys from the kind of that 18 team currently that are playing that now need to kind of make that jump. Will they be able to make that jump? And I think we'll see some of those guys as well trying to work their way into that USL Pro roster. and maybe some of those guys that the Whitecaps aren't necessarily quite certain about. Put them on that team and really see if they have what it takes to make that jump into a professional level and maybe take it a little bit further on in their careers.
Andre Lewis and Mamadou Diouf were the other two names I thought of as well a little bit, but it's hard to know right now if they're going to be in or out with the setup next year.
Yeah,
so.
but I do think that we're going to see a bunch of Canadian guys on that roster.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 10, and this is also a USL Pro question. What are your top 5 coaching candidates for the Whitecaps USL Pro franchise?
Well, a guy like Alan Marcina, I think, is one of my top 5 after winning the NASL championship. He's a local guy, and we will ask him that question when he joins us in about 5 minutes or so. I also look at Gordon Forrest, who's already with the Whitecaps, much like a lot of the other teams, naming an assistant coach as a coach of that team and really being a good bridge going back and forth. Jim Brennan is a guy that Carl Robinson obviously has experience with Toronto FC. He's looking for work. I'm throwing his name into the mix. Niall Thompson was a guy that was in charge of that U23 team. He could possibly make that jump. And Nick Dadzovic is another guy who's currently unemployed after losing his job with San Jose. And I think he would be a very interesting candidate for that squad. And we talked about it earlier tonight, Simon, that he's been the U20 coach. He's been, he is Canada's most licensed coach, really, in reality. And here's a guy that's been on the national team, has a lot of experience in playing and coaching. I think would be great. Unfortunately, just exchanging some emails with Nick, he has not heard anything. Now, the team has just been announced, but he thinks probably a very long shot to getting the call.
Interesting, because I certainly listed him as one of my 5 names for the job, and I think, as you say, is someone, because he's such a local guy and probably one of this country's most qualified coaches, would be an excellent fit. He's got a lot of experience working with the young players, particularly when he was the under-20 national team boss. And I think he would be an excellent candidate, despite the news that you've just given me. Gordon Forrest as well. I thought it quite interesting that he was put front and center in the scrums yesterday. Gives a bit of a hint maybe that he could very well be the person that's going to end up taking the role. Alan Marcina has got to be mentioned simply for the fact that he's had great success with what he did this season with San Antonio. He's only been a head coach for 18 months, and he's done a hell of a lot in a very short space of time, so that needs to be given some connection. And I'm going to go a little out of my way with 2 guys. Mike Mosher is the head coach of the UBC Thunderbirds men's team, and they're going to be based out there, the varsity team. He's always been very happy with the role that he's been in. Obviously, he kind of succeeded it from his father, but I kind of have a feeling that he too would be someone that would be good for a job like that, and I think would do a good job. And it'd be interesting to see if he would look at that as being something of maybe a fresh challenge. Not sure if he could double it with the UBC job, unlikely. But the last name is way out there, but he was the goalkeeping coach with the Ottawa Fury, Bruce Grobbelaar. We had him on in the spring, and he did say how he wanted to get back into coaching and whatnot. He's already done so a little bit, as I said, down east. He's been living in Newfoundland for quite a number of years. He has connections to the Whitecaps here. Might be a hell of a long shot, but why not put his name in the mix? Bruce Grobbelaar.
And finally, on the starting 11, are you concerned, Simon, because it was brought up by a few people, mainly in the East, but the Caps, that they will not develop Canadians, but instead use their USL Pro side to play MLS reserve players?
No, not at all. The fruits of the residency program's labor is starting to yield even larger crops of promising players than before. So I think they're going to get a chance to play third-tier pro soccer because the club wants to get a full understanding of seeing can they make it or not. They wanted to establish the testing ground to see what they've actually got coming through the program. They really haven't had it there to this point, so this is going to give them that opportunity. Yes, MLS reserve players will get action, but it will not be at the expense of young Canadians.
No, I'm the same way. I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think there's a lot of young Canadians that the Whitecaps, they have MLS contracts, but I think that's the whole point, is getting these guys game action and give them a year of that development instead of putting them on an MLS roster and having them sit around and not playing games, giving them fairly good quality teams to play against and see if they have the ability to compete there, and then move on and maybe next year or the year after compete for an MLS job. And so I definitely see that happening, but they're going to have to put some of those other guys in there. They're going to have to get guys some games that play in Major League Soccer that aren't Canadian. But that shouldn't be your point. As much as you want to bring guys through the residency program and up through it, you also need to make sure that you're winning games in Major League Soccer and developing all of your players. And that means players that you've drafted, players that you've signed. And sometimes it doesn't matter, but I don't have any doubt that the Whitecaps will bring in Canadian players, and a lot of them will be Canadian players.
And the USL Pro season this past year was a long season, and almost with a similar timeline. So there's a lot of games there at that level that are going to be played, so they're going to need to use a good number of their players throughout the course of the season at that level to get through. So, yeah, don't forget that as well.
Quick break here, but back with the latest news, notes, and rumors from around the globe. And Alan Marcina, is he interested in the USL Pro job here in Vancouver? We will find out next.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on Sea Isle 650.
Talk about beautiful goalkeeping. During Winterfest, Kia Vancouver is stopping all payments on new 2015 Kia models till next year and stopping winter with a holiday bonus of up to $1,000 towards a 2015 winter-ready model with loads of heated features and rugged winter tires. Hurry in for all the Winterfest saves at Kia Vancouver, where you get free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon and KiaVancouver.com.
The Straight Razor Shave, a leading man classic. Steady hand coaxing the rugged face back to smoothness. This nearly lost art has found revival at Barber & Co. Hot towel, straight edge blade, and your face. It's an experience that reminds you you're alive. You're a man in the company of history's finest men. Start at barberandco.ca. Pick your barber shop in Yaletown, Gastown, the Financial District, Cambiet 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. And relax into the big leather chair for the shave of your life.
Nearly 70 years ago, Charlie Wolford first started fixing loggers' boots. He did such a good job, loggers said if he'd make boots from scratch, they'd buy them and tell their buddies. Charlie named his brand Dayton, and ever since, Dayton Boots has put the same craftsmanship and love in every pair built right here in Vancouver. Times change, but the quality in every handcrafted pair of Dayton boots never has. Mention Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk and take 10% off Dayton Boots, 2250 East Hastings. Dayton, wear a legend that lasts.
Pain or injury slowing you down? Take it to the choice of many top athletes, Expert Physio. Serving the Lower Mainland for over 35 years, the team at Expert Physio is dedicated to individualized care with specialized services such as orthotics, acupuncture, IMS, plus dizziness, pelvic floor, and certified hand therapies. Over 300 physicians referred to Expert Physio last year, and 100% of patients surveyed said they'd choose Expert Physio again. You're in good hands with Expert Physio. Burnaby Heights or at 8 Rinks, expertphysio.ca.
Whether playing soccer on this continent or football on every other, Umbro is the name worn by top players and teams worldwide. Those same uniforms are available for your team or club at Umbro.com. Umbro, proud to be the official supplier of Canada's men's and women's national teams, is celebrating 90 years of expertise in the game. If you want your club to play like the pros, dress them like the pros at Umbro.com. Umbro, the heart and soul of football.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on Sea Isle 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
Headlines from around the globe is coming up in a second, including an interview with Alan Marcina, the San Antonio Scorpions head coach. They just won the NASL championship last weekend, and Alan will join us in just a matter of moments. But first, our England scoreboard with Simon.
Yes, 7 games today in the English Premier League. League leaders Chelsea winning again 2-0 over West Bromwich Albion. It was Everton 2, West Ham United 1. Leicester City and Sunderland drew 0-0. Manchester City beat Swansea City by 2-1. And Newcastle United going strong, beating QPR by 1-0. Another good win for Burnley away to Stoke City 2-1. And Arsenal falling at home to Manchester United. Was that going to be a turnaround result for the United? 2-1 at the Emirates Stadium to Louis van Gaal's men. 2 games on Sunday. Crystal Palace hosting Liverpool and Hull City hosting Spurs. And then on Monday, Aston Villa play high-flying Southampton.
All right, let's check the latest headlines from around the globe. Taking a look at the news, notes, and rumors from around the globe, brought to you by Steve Nash Sports Clubs. That's snclubs.com. And San Antonio Scorpions, well, they won the NASL championships. Simon mentioned that last week on this very segment. And tonight, the head coach joins the program. Alan Marcina is his name. He is from Surrey. And Alan, thanks for taking time out on your Saturday night to join us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Have to think you've been extremely busy over the last week with, probably some media interviews as well as just catching up with family and friends, but also probably a bit of a party after winning it. How are you feeling a week later?
Obviously still very, very excited what we accomplished. It's a blessing that there's people that want to talk about it, and so I'm just feeling very, very fortunate with it all.
At which point sort of in this season did you think that this team really might have that special something to win the championship?
It's funny, we were just talking about Adrian Kahn, but he made the comment early in the preseason. He goes, "Coach, I really think," and this is probably after a few preseason results that we had against some MLS teams and international teams, that hey, we can maybe make noise through North America. And I think it was at that time that we all kind of looked at each other in the change room and said, we could potentially do something big here with this team and staff that we had assembled, and sure enough, we did.
You're listening to Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk here on CL 650 Radio in Vancouver. My name's Tyler Green. Alongside me, Simon Fudge. We're speaking with San Antonio Scorpions head coach and winner of the NASL championship last weekend, Alan Marcina.
Alan, having been obviously in charge now for about a year and a half in San Antonio and gone on and won the title at the North American Second Division level with the NASL, what's next for you? I mean, what do you see in terms of your coaching aspirations at this point?
Well, it's, I've had a successful first year as a head coach, and obviously I want to push that as far as I can. Right now, I'm, I guess you could say, in talks with my current club. Nothing is set in stone at this particular moment. And they're, been blessed that there has been a few offers. So I'll just sit down and see what's best for me and my family moving forward.
Can you elaborate on some of those offers? Do they involve potentially some other NASL clubs or even MLS clubs?
Right now, keeping the cards close to the chest. Just seeing what else potentially may be out there. Right now, obviously, we're seeing, what San Antonio will be able to, offer moving forward. I'm excited to hear that, and then I'll just take it from there.
There's been obviously a lot of news this week with MLS clubs picking up reserve sides going into USL Pro, which is technically a tier below NASL. Would you consider, if the opportunity came to get involved with an MLS club, if through maybe working or being a head coach of a USL Pro side, to be something of an option that you would consider?
Yeah, being a part of the, an MLS squad, generally, if you're a head coach of the USL team, you're part of the coaching staff for the first team. So that definitely is intriguing. If that opportunity ever presents itself, it's something I would obviously take seriously and take serious thought and consideration into it.
Alan, obviously, currently you're with the NASL champions with the San Antonio Scorpions. with all that talk of potentially other teams, when do you kind of want to get it wrapped up by? Because if you are with San Antonio, I imagine you want to figure out who your roster is going to be for next year.
Most definitely. I'm hoping within the next week or so that I can finalize wherever that may be. Just because I'm eager to get back to work, start recruiting players and putting together and leading to a team to potentially another championship.
Alan, appreciate you taking just a quick time out here on a Saturday night to join us, and congratulations once again on a great accomplishment in winning the NASL title last week, and wishing you all the best in what's next, and say hello to all the former Caps that are down there.
Will do, and really appreciate for having me on the show, guys. Thank you.
Thanks again. Alan Marcina joining us here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk for our Kia Vancouver showroom interview, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at yukonkiavancouver.com. And Alan mentioned it in the break when we phoned him. We were talking to him about Adrian Can, who obviously used to be here with the Vancouver Whitecaps, and still to this day talk to Adrian. But we were joking about the fact that we always have this over-under about Adrian, about how many times he asks me about Whole Foods and how many times he calls me brother. Or in an interview, and then pre and post interview when we chat with them.
Or when, like Alan said tonight, he uses the phrase "most definitely."
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Most definitely.
Most
Simon.
definitely. Indeed.
So obviously, yes. But good on Alan. Just he took over the coaching role in 2013, midway through the season. Finished the season, got the full-time job in November, and has been there ever since. And very interesting that he has a few offers, whether those are USL Pro coaching jobs, whether those are MLS assistant coaching jobs, maybe even head coaching jobs. It'll be interesting to see exactly where what happens with him.
Well, when any coach succeeds, they're always going to draw attention, and I'm sure that's pretty much the position he is in right now. And I'm delighted for him, and we need to see more Canadian coaches get in those positions. So all the best to him for sure.
Right now, Kia Vancouver offering free oil changes, car washes, airport parking, and shuttle service only at BC's #1 Kia dealership, Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. Coming up, we'll check in with Rob Gale. He is the head coach of Canada's U20 squad, and we'll talk about their recent results and the upcoming preparations for the CONCACAF Championships coming up in January. That's at 11:30. And Simon and I will discuss the USL Pro side here in Vancouver a little bit more. But up next, expert physios David Sandals will chat injuries when we return.
Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTalk650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on Sea Isle 650.
Not that your stylist at the salon isn't doing a good job, but man, you deserve the big red leather barber chair experience of Barber & Co. Here's how it works. Go to barberandco.ca. Book your appointment at one of the 5 barber shops in Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie at 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. You can just walk in, too, and get your hair cut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, or beard trim experience. A great wedding party idea, too. barberandco.ca.
The family story begins generations ago on Via Tevere, a street in the heart of Naples, where food was the celebration of life. Today, in East Van, Via Tevere Pizzeria Napoletana honors their family heritage with La Vera Pizza Napoletana, pizza that showcases authentic Neapolitan ingredients and the time-honored tradition of wood-fired cooking. Come experience La Vera Pizza Napoletana, true Neapolitan pizza at Via Tevere Pizzeria, 1190 Victoria Drive, and look for the Via Tevere Neapolitan Express food cart around town.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Prudential Sussex Realty, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
at findaproperty.ca.
Talk about beautiful goalkeeping. During Winterfest, Kia Vancouver is stopping all payments on new 2015 Kia models till next year and stopping winter with a holiday bonus of up to $1,000 towards a 2015 winter-ready model with loads of heated features and rugged winter tires. Hurry in for all the Winterfest saves at Kia Vancouver, where you get free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon and KiaVancouver.com.
Hello, Miss Flower, I need you.
What Mr. Grosky needs is VancouverJobShop.ca.
Miss Flower.
Where he can find hundreds of local employees.
Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower.
Post jobs and start getting resumes in minutes.
I need you, Miss Flower.
With more local employees than ever. VancouverJobShop.ca. Long name, amazing results.
Where are you?
Giving thanks to God was an important part of Jesus' healing ministry, and it's a vital theme throughout the Bible. But what if it appears that there's little to be grateful for? To acknowledge with gratitude the presence of God and His goodness, even when we feel there's little evidence of good, can open the way to healing. Hear about this on the next radio edition of the Christian Science Sentinel.
Listen for the Christian Science Sentinel, Sunday mornings at 8:30 on Sea Isle 650.